Now apply more adhesive as you did before, remembering not to tackle too big an area at any one time. Again, tile along the horizontal batten, working from the tile trim with a full tile towards the corner. Always try to make sure that any cut tiles are in the corners and not on the external angles. Measure the gap between the last full tile and the corner. Mark this measurement onto a full tile. When using any form of tile cutting equipment, it's important to wear eye protection. Using a straight edge, score the tile and snap. Apply the tile adhesive and fix into place. Repeat this same process for all the tiles that need cutting. Remove the horizontal timber support.
Ljudi, mali insert postavljanja pločica. Ovo vam je jedan poznati keramičar Samir. Merhaba. To ide sasvim fino. Ko po loju.
Sasvim jednostavno. Dobro, taj posao i nije težak toliko.
Do nekih 10 sati.
Čovjek je uradio čitavo kupatlo.
Ima još pola zida do čitavog kupatlo. Još jedan zid ovdje.
I to bez krstića.
Bez krstića, to je veoma važno za naglasiti. I evo, samo ove 2 minute dok snimamo, postavio je već nekih 2 kvadrata do sad, ako ne i više.
Da vidimo kako će to da izađe sve. Ja ne mogu pločica donijeti koliko mogu potrošiti.
I pola zida je već gotovo. U roku 4 minute. To bi to.
Evo ćemo samo zacrtati. To bi bilo to. Ja bolje ne mogu I brže.
The three walls surrounding a shower and bathtub require more than a traditional wallboard surface because of the constant wet and damp conditions. Ceramic wall tile is a great choice. It's tough, easy to clean, and it can stand up to all the wetness a busy shower receives. Ceramic tile can be installed directly over wallboard, plaster, or existing tile, but it must be attached to a surface that's structurally strong enough to support the weight. In this demonstration, we'll be installing backer board, which most tile manufacturers recommend. Before you start, protect the inside of the tub with cardboard. Start by sealing the edges of the tub flange with asphalt roofing cement. This will seal the tub to the waterproof felt or polyethylene plastic we'll be attaching. Next, staple 15-pound felt to the studs. Embed the bottom layer into the asphalt cement on the tub flange. Overlap the second layer of felt at least 2 inches over the top of the first layer. Use only enough staples to hold the felt in place. If you're covering an outside wall, use 4mm polyethylene plastic instead of felt to prevent moisture problems. Once all the felt or plastic is attached, place 1/4-inch shims along the top of the tub. The gap will prevent water on the rim of the tub from wicking up behind the backer board. Fasten cement backer board sheets to the studs using backer board screws. Use fiberglass tape to reinforce the corners and joint. Then use thin-set mortar to skim and level them. Finally, seal the gap where the backer board meets the tub with a clear or white silicone. This will allow the tub to expand and contract slightly. Before you start working with the tile, determine its actual size. Place 10 tiles side by side and measure the length of the row. Divide by 10 and use the resulting number as the tile dimension for your layout. Measure the height of the back wall from the top of the tub to the ceiling, or wherever the top row of tiles will be. Calculate and mark the horizontal midpoint of the wall. Measure from the height of the back wall again and divide by the size of the tile you're using. If you end up with less than a full tile as your remainder, shift the mid-height line up by that amount. This will give you a row of full tiles along the top of the tub and a row of partial tiles at the top of the wall. Draw a new mid-height line and extend it to all 3 walls. Make sure it's level. Now measure the width of the back wall and mark the mid-width point. Using a level, extend the line to the floor. Measure from the mid-width point to either corner and divide by the size of the tile. If the end tiles will be less than a half tile wide, shift the midpoint so the tiles on both ends will be of equal width and draw a new mid-width line. Repeat this process for the other two walls. Using a chalk line, snap additional vertical and horizontal lines to create a grid of 8 to 12 square foot rectangles on the walls. Once this is done, you're ready to start tiling.
Start by fastening a level 1x2 or 1x3 wooden batten just below the mid-height line. Double check to make sure it's level. The batten will keep your first row of tiles straight, which will make the rest of the tiles on the wall straight as well. Mix your latex modified thin set mortar as instructed in the techniques section of tiling 1, 2, 3. Using a square notched trowel, apply mortar to one of the marked grids along the top of the batten and comb it into straight vertical ridges. Press the first few full tiles in place above the batten. Use a slight twisting motion to be sure it makes good contact with the mortar. Do not slide the tiles. After you've done 3 or 4 tiles, lift one off and check the back. The mortar should cover the entire surface. If it's in rows, the troweled ridges on the wall aren't thick enough. Scrape the mortar off the wall and reapply it using a trowel with a larger notch. Work up and out in a stair-step pattern. Take your time and work on the wall in manageable 8 to 12 square foot sections.
Mark, cut, and set the tiles around the shower arm. Set any top or end tiles that must be cut last. If any mortar oozes up between the tiles while you're working, clean it up before it dries. Continue up the wall, finishing with the row of cap tiles. Once you're done, let the mortar cure for at least 12 hours, then remove the batten. Working from the middle out and down, set the rest of the tiles. To keep the tiles from sliding down, support each with a piece of masking tape attached to the tile above it. Let the mortar dry completely. Each type of mortar has a different curing time. Be sure to follow the manufacturer's instructions. After the mortar has dried, set any accessories in place. Use masking tape to support it until the mortar has cured. Do not install a tray with a towel bar that might be mistaken for a handhold. Grouting is the next step in the tiling process.
Grout is the material that fills the space between the tiles and supports them, almost like glue. Grouting is messy, so be sure you properly cover any areas that you don't want to get dirty. Before you start, remove any excess mortar with a razor blade. Using a margin trowel, mix the powdered grout with liquid and apply it as recommended in the techniques section. Skim the excess grout off with the edge of the float. To avoid digging into the joints, move the float diagonally across the tiles. The grout will set up in about 5 to 15 minutes and have a putty-like consistency. When a thumbnail pressed against it doesn't leave an impression, the grout is hard enough for the final cleanup. With a damp sponge, wipe the tiles diagonally to clean them. Rinse the sponge frequently in clean water.
Remove any remaining haze. Repeat this process until the tile is as reflective as glass. Cure the grout as instructed in the technique section of tiling 1, 2, 3, and let it set thoroughly before applying sealer. The curing process is very important. Do not disturb it. Once the grout has cured, apply sealer with a sponge. Sealing tile grout gives it a greater water and mildew resistance and helps keep it from getting dirty. Make sure to wipe off any excess within 10 minutes. Don't let it dry on the tile. And if you're using an unglazed tile, seal it as well. Finally, caulk the tub and tile joint with a bath and tub caulk. Use a color that matches either the tub or the tile. To smooth the bead, use a wet finger or sponge and lightly draw it across the caulk.
Covered a small area. For larger projects, begin at the center cross in the middle of the room. On ours, he spread the adhesive with the smooth side of the trowel, applying it evenly. If you have reference lines, try not to cover them. Once the adhesive was down, he combed over it with the notched side of the trowel at a 45-degree angle. He combed the adhesive in one direction without making swirl patterns. This ensured uniform application of the mastic. He removed any excess with a trowel. For our entry, we used tile edging. Jeff spread adhesive along the edge of the work area, then laid the metal strip on the mastic. The adhesive held the edger in place. When he had a small area covered with adhesive, he started laying the tile in place using the spacers. He lightly pressed and twisted the ceramic to set it into the adhesive. Periodically, he lifted a tile to make sure the adhesive was sticking. Where it didn't, he buttered back the adhesive on the tile. If you're not getting good coverage, use a trowel with larger notches. When adhesive got on the face of the tile, Jeff wiped it off with a damp sponge. After a few tiles were set, he evened them out with a rubber mallet and a level, and checked this often as he laid the floor. He kept working from the edges of the work area. For the tiles that needed straight cuts, Jeff used a tile cutter. Use a glass cutter and tile nippers if you need to make curved cutouts, and always wear safety glasses. Once all of the tile had been set, we let the adhesive dry overnight. The next step was to grout the joints. We mixed the grout according to the manufacturer's instructions. Usually, the directions call for a paste-like consistency. Jeff applied the grout with a rubber grout float diagonally across the tile joints. He removed as much excess grout from the tile surface as possible. After 20 minutes, he wiped